Natural Selection Entertainment presents
God damn.
a Darwin's Pride production
I think she's got something for us. I bet she does.
featuring Ray Dawn Chom in her first feature film appearance. And starring seven-time Mass Extinction Award winner Arnold Schwarzenegger. COHOMANDO.
Where did you learn how to do that?
I watch Natural Selection Angling.
Hey, what's up you guys? This is Steve from Natural Selection Angling, and I'm coming back at you today with another great video in our coho fishing series. In this episode, we're going to be building the spoons that we talked about in the last episode. What I've done here is I've painted these all up in nice fluorescent colors, and then I've created these stencils in what I call the 5 eyes pattern. Then I'm going to use these stencils to just place locator dots on the spoons, and then I'm going to freehand paint these with the airbrush. So you can see what we've got going on here, and I'm just using these small white dots as a visual reference so that I can freehand paint these with white primer and a 0.2 millimeter airbrush, and this is what we've got now. Pretty cool. I like the way it looks when you use a freehand technique and spray the dots. There's a time and a place for stencils too, but I just prefer to do things freehand. I don't mind using the stencil to help me line stuff up, but I usually don't paint through the stencils. Okay, this one I did up in white primer, as you saw, and then I added a fluorescent yellow on top. So now I'm going to put some glow dots on there later. So I'm just going to go back and I'm going to spot in the white with the dotting tool again so that I have good white base for my glow. And that's that. Okay, moving on. We're going to use TechnoGlow Fluorescent Aqua glow in the dark powder, and I've mixed that with UV resin and also with a neon blue pigment to make it a little bit darker and have it, give us a little more contrast. And I'm going to come back to this bait because I had a chemical interaction with the tail end of an old UV resin and this pigment that I put in there in order to color this neon blue. At least I suspect that's what it is, and I'll show you what happened. Okay, now we're moving on to the little brother. And we'll just go ahead and spot these in. What I'm doing here is just flash curing them with the torch, and then I'll put them into my little incubator that I have off to the side here. I just don't want them to run away from me or become a different shape other than the nice round dot I just applied. Over here on this side, I've got a UV light that's on a stand. It's just a little incubator, and I'll pop them in there to cure as I work on the next ones. Now on these orange ones, I'm going to use TechnoGlow UV Chartreuse and mix it with UV resin and spot these in. You can use whatever colors you want. The white provides a really nice contrast off the orange, so I feel confident that I can use a lighter color here and still have it look great. If I used probably a tighter white dot and I was going to cover it entirely with UV glow resin, I probably would use blue or just something on the opposite side of the color wheel. But that white halo is going to give us the contrast we need so that we can use whatever color we want in the center. So here I'm applying TechnoGlow UV fluorescent orange glow powder mixed with UV resin. Again, just hitting it quick with the torch to make sure it doesn't run away on me, and then I'll pop it into the easy bake oven. I already like where these are going, man. They're coming up nice already. You'll see later on in the video, I think these ones that are made on the bare metal base are really cool. Now, if you're wondering how I prepped those blanks, I've gone over this in other videos, but I just scuffed it up and then sprayed it with 40-30 clear. And that gives you a good base to start with. So it looks nice and shiny because the 40-30 clear is adhering to the scratch marks, right? And clearing them up. Now I'm spotting in white primer in the Lotty Dotty pattern around the 5 eyes pattern. Yeah, these look good. After I primed the Lotty Dotty pattern in white, then I'm going to come in with a clear TechnoGlow UV ink mixed with resin. So it's going to be clear and appear white, maybe a little pinkish to the naked eye, but when it glows, it's going to glow pink, and that's going to interact with the green. And this one's off to the easy bake oven. Here's one that I did before, and so now you can see that those white dots are pink. They're a little bit purple under the UV light, but when they glow they'll be pink, and that interacts with the base color. Over top of this, I hit them with a 40-30 clear, a pretty generous coat. I like to do that and let it cure overnight before I apply the top coat. That thing looks cool, right? All right, now back to these two, where I had a crazy chemical reaction. When I hit these with the UV lamp, they kind of started bubbling like lava. And I think it was because the UV resin was on its last legs, and then I mixed it with a pretty heavy dose of pigment, and some chemical reaction didn't allow it to work correctly. But I did continue hitting it with UV until it did set up, and it's okay. But that's why the bigger spoon has such big dots on it. And they were like, I don't know, like baking bread. They were expanding. Okay, here we go with the 2-part epoxy. If you have any questions on how to apply a 2-part epoxy clear coat, watch this video right here. Perfect clear coat every time. Now you're starting to get an idea of what it'll look like on the final. This is pretty good. Okay, last one of the first coat. And you can see how thick the resin is becoming. The working time is getting advanced, it's starting to close, and this is gonna make for a thick coat. What I'm gonna do on the second coat is I'm gonna do these in reverse order. Okay, so that the first one will be this one, and that will get the thinnest coat, the first one. And then as I get to the first one from the first coat, it'll get the thickest one in the second coat. All right, I hope that made sense to you. We're kind of working on the law of averages here, right? Now, this is the last one I did, and I'm doing it first this time. It's getting the thinnest coat, again, to try to make it as even as possible across the whole batch. Yeah, that looks pretty darn good. You see how thick this is? Again, remember this was the first one we did in the first round. Now it's the last one in the second round. All right, next day, took the sticks off the back, and now we're gonna clean them up with some iso alcohol to take off any overspray from the back side of the spoon, any glue or residue from the tape, so we get a nice, shiny, flashy backside. Looks pretty good when I wipe off my grubby mitt prints from it. Yeah, man. Come on, guys. Look at this thing. Came out pretty good. Okay, you guys know how I do this. If you haven't seen this before, watch this video right here about putting the hooks on without damaging the finish. The larger spoon's gonna get a 1.0 hook. The smaller spoon's gonna get a number 1 hook. Both are rated 4X, and they go on with number 7 150-pound split rings. And look at that clear coat shine. What's not to like? Man, these things are straight up murder weapons, y'all. Come on now.
Rolling lakeside, sun is on the chrome. Steve from Natural Selection bringing Coho home. Got that deep funk groove, the bass is kicking hard. He's the greatest angler, playing his trump card. Custom spoon shining, a flash of silver light. Gonna school the whole crowd and on the lake.
Alright guys, this one was a lot of fun to make and these came out great. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit the alert bell so you don't miss anything important.